all the great stuff I got at Aldi today, guys. I have an Aldi haul for you, and it's exciting. And I'm also going to attach a great meal prep, and I have some fabulous new recipes for you. And they're all starch solution. They're vegan. They're whole food, plant-based. They're everything of your dreams. So stay tuned. Let's get into the Aldi haul to start. And before we get going, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you know every time I upload a new video, because you're going to want to stick with it, because these videos are getting better and better as we go along. So I did get just some plant-based milk, almond milk, chocolate almond milk for my husband. He likes that, and I encourage that. I got a bag of spinach, some celery. That'll be for snacking on, along with some carrots. That goes with our hummus. That's just a staple. Bananas also. I got a lot of fruit this week. Just my husband likes to snack on it. We like it with our oatmeal in the morning and just as a snack in the evenings. So I got the bananas. The strawberries were a pretty good price. And I will leave the prices down below for everybody if you want them. I'll just type them in really quick. These were Lady Alice apples. I've never heard of them. I already have a hole in the bag, so I'm just going to be careful. So I've never heard of them. So I usually get my Honey Crisp, so I thought I'd take a chance and give them a try. They kind of look like the Honey Crisp. So if you've tried these Lady Alice apples, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of them. I usually like them with a little chocolate hummus. Not going to lie. Also, the blueberries were a half decent price, and so were the raspberries this week. So I thought we would splurge, since it's been a little cold here in Chicago, trying to bring a little bit of spring back. And some grapes. So we kind of hit all of the fruit groups, I think. So we have that all going for us. I needed some salsa. I used the last of it yesterday in one of my last recipes, which was a mac and cheese that I put some homemade meatballs that I used some TVP in. And that recipe is coming out, so stick to it. My husband thought that those meatballs were amazing, so those will be good. Just got some chunky peanut butter and just some jam, and we like those basically on the rice cakes that we have, the brown rice cakes. Those are easy. Taking a chance on the avocados again. I don't know about you guys, but the avocados lately have been horrible. I guess there's an issue with getting avocados out of Mexico, so they've been getting them from a whole bunch of other different countries. According to what I saw, these I think are supposedly from California, is what I thought I saw at the store. Anyway, it's hit or miss. They don't last very long. They aren't usually, you have to get them when they're good or eat them while they're good. If not, they're not so good. Anyway, let me know if you guys are having issues with your avocados where you are, but here in Chicago, we are having issues with our avocados. Anyway, so I did take another chance with the avocados. We'll give them another try. We usually get one or two good ones out of them anyway, so. Just some frozen peas. I also needed that for a recipe that I'm doing for this meal prep. Cauliflower, also for this meal prep. I'm going to do a chickpea curry. And I always go through my freezers and stuff, see what I have, what I want to use up from there. And I had some cooked lentils. And I was thinking, I also have, of course, you all know that I use my scraps. I made another batch of soup stock and decided to make a batch of soup this week and thought lentil soup would be great. So I'm going to put this in and kind of make another kind of like a curry lentil soup. So I'm going to put a little bit of cauliflower in that. I got some sweet potatoes. I'm also going to saw in my cupboard that I had some forbidden rice that I needed to use up. So I'm going to make some grain bowls this week. So I'm going to roast some vegetables to go with that. I got some asparagus. And I'm going to roast that. That won't take long to roast. They're very, very thin, so they're almost like spring ones. Again, those will take less than 10 minutes to roast. Just a couple of packs of onions. I like cooking onions and white onions, just depending on whatever you're making. They go into different recipes, of course. And wouldn't be Starch Solution without your good old potatoes. Always need to have some potatoes on hand, depending on what you're making. And that's actually going to go in a couple of the recipes, lentil soup and into the curry. And then just a 12-grain bread. I always we throw ours into the freezer. We don't eat a lot of bread, to be perfectly honest, but every once in a while, if the avocados turn out okay, I might have a little half a slice of avocado toast or something, and just an English muffin again. If I use or make my own egg substitute or something, treating myself, or on the weekend or whatever, or, just for whatever. Sometimes it's good just to have them at home. So that's what I got. Oh, and I got some diced tomatoes. I forgot to mention that. That's also for a recipe that we're going to be doing with our meal prep. So let's get into our meal prep. Stick with me, guys. We're going to get this done today quick and fast as per usual so we can get in and get out and have a healthy week. So with any meal prep, we want to be doing a bunch of things all at the same time so we can get in and get out as fast as possible. So I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees. So the first thing we want to do is get whatever needs to be in the oven going. So, and a couple of Mexican onions that had to get cooked. So I'm going to put those on my pan. So I'm going to roast my veggies. So I'm just going to start peeling my sweet potatoes. So what's on the menu? I'm going to do a lentil soup. I'm going to do some curried chickpeas that I'm going to serve over rice. And I'm going to make some grain bowls. But I'm going to use forbidden rice this week for something new, which is delicious. If you haven't had it before, you should definitely look into it. It's very nutritious, and it just changes it up. So I am going to also be making white rice to go with the curry, long grain white rice, and I'm also going to be making forbidden rice. So we're just going to peel and then along with my sweet potatoes, I'm going to roast a little bit of cauliflower. I'm also going to have cauliflower in my soup, and I have some asparagus. Now the asparagus is super thin, so it's only going to need probably about 10 minutes. I'm not going to use all of the asparagus, just some of it, just so I can mix and match with my grain bowls, just to keep it fresh, so you're not eating the same grain bowl. And again, I still have cabbage left over, the purple and green cabbage, if you're here last week. So that's going to be on one of my grain bowls for one day. And I just mix up all of my toppings each day, so it's never going to be the same. It just depends on what mood I'm in. So one day it'll be Mediterranean. One day it could be like a Mexican theme with some black beans and tomatoes. Okay. Now the sweet potato peels I don't keep for my stock. I also already made my stock from my peels that I already had left over from before. So just going to cut my sweet potatoes into chunks. And again, all depending on how you like them on your grain bowls. Now I'm not sure what the difference is between a grain bowl and a Buddha bowl. I don't think it really matters. I think they're both delicious. And then we can also use the sweet potatoes as a side, as a 50-50 plate, just depending on what your mood is, but at least you have some stuff prepped. I always like to have stuff just that way. You could always throw a frozen vegetable with it, and you're done if you're in a hurry and you're starving. And when I'm baking or roasting, I always like to mix up my spices that go with them, so it's not the same spices over and over again. And so what I do like to do is just to grab a container and what I do is I take a little bit of my soup stock. So I do have my soup stock here that I made in my Instant Pot. And again, if you've been here, I just take my scraps, throw it in my Instant Pot, and makes a gorgeous stock. And I'm just going to put a couple of drops, just enough to wet it up. And the only reason I'm doing that is I want my spices to stick to it. That's all. We just don't want to. I think I'm going to use my ajica. You know I love my ajica. And I think that it's spicy and it's going to be great with the sweetness of the sweet. So we'll just lay that out. Okay. Take some of our asparagus. Plastic. I think I'm just going to take part of it. About that much. Off the ends. Asparagus is a little harder to put into soup stock. I am going to cut, and again, just in my bowl with literally a couple of drops of water, stock, whatever you want. Just want a little bit of moisture. And I think I'm going to try the citrus garlic, or you could just use garlic, whatever. I think the citrus garlic would be great with the asparagus. Now the asparagus is literally going to probably take about 5 minutes to cook at 400 degrees, so we're going to keep an eye on that. I'm actually going to put the onions and divide them. And then we're going to, after 5 minutes, we'll take those out. And then for our last vegetable, we're going to do our cauliflower. Did you know you could actually use the leaves of the cauliflower? I know, very interesting. So I'm actually going to clean those. I am just going to take off the last one. I'll throw that one actually in the stock. But I'm actually going to utilize the leaves this time. I'm going to wash them. So most people just throw them out, but you can actually saute them. You can roast them. So I'm going to roast some of my cauliflower, and some of it's going in the soup. Heard you can even pickle it. Very interesting. Learning new stuff every day. Okay, so we're going to wash that. We're going to deal with that another time. Just going to take the core out. That can go in the soup stock. So we're just going to take our cauliflower, or at least half of our cauliflower, and we're just going to do it in bite-sized pieces. And for this one, we're just going to toss with just a little bit of garlic. And I'm just doing enough for my bowls this week. The rest is probably going to go into my soup. And I guess I'm going to have some for snacks. Yeah, I think that's going to be enough. And again, just a tad of water or something just so that the garlic will stick to it. A little bit of garlic. We're going to give that, we're just going to roast that in the oven, and that's going to go in the oven. That's probably going to take about 20 minutes to roast. Just keep an eye on it. Obviously, it's just going to depend on how big your florets are, and everything else is cooking, and I'm going to check on our asparagus. Now, guys, when you're meal prepping, don't forget, make it enjoyable. Make yourself a nice coffee, put on some tunes, and enjoy it. But, again, make sure you're meal prepping smart. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our rice cooking, because now we have our stuff in the oven. I've set a timer so I don't forget about the asparagus. So now I'm going to do the forbidden rice. And if you've never seen forbidden rice, it's black rice. It's very interesting. Very interesting. It's just black rice. And so I'm going to add my water to that. Okay. And then this one is going to go on the stove. And I'm also going to do my white rice at the same time. I've already rinsed, this is long grain rice, so I've already rinsed it until the water came clear. So we want to get rid of all the starch. I like mine to be light and fluffy. And again, that was 1 cup of white rice, so I'm going to do 2 cups of water. I'll probably need to add more water towards the end. Now you could always use bouillon or whatever. Sometimes I like to just keep it plain just in case. If I have leftover, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. If I have a little bit of leftover white rice at the end, you can always make sushi out of it, or you can make rice pudding, whatever you want. So I'm going to also take this over to the stove. We're going to bring it up to a boil, bring the heat down, let it simmer. It's going to take, the forbidden rice takes about 25 minutes to cook. The long grain rice is going to take about 20 to 25 minutes. So just keep an eye on it. Once it comes up to a boil and brings it down to a simmer, that's just going to kind of like cook on its own while we move on. So now we're just going to finish prepping the rest of our vegetables and everything for our recipes. So you might as well get everything prepped so you can just head over to the stove and get both dishes going, because they're just going to kind of cook at the same time. So the first thing we're going to do is our onions. And I'm probably going to use my food chopper today so I don't cry. All right. So first onion. Everything. And don't forget to take the skins. The skin is going to add that extra great color to your stock if you're using your onions and stuff for your stock. That's where it's going to get that great coloring from. So just cut that up. So we have all of our onion done for each recipe. I have them divided. Now I'm going to do the green pepper. Okay, all set. So before we finish anything else with our prep, everything in the oven is done. So we're going to get that out. Cauliflower is cooked. And our sweet potatoes are cooked. So are our onions. We're just going to take that out. Let that all cool. And then the last little bit of our prep is just chopping up our potatoes for our dish, and then we'll be able to move everything. So I did take all the onions out, the onion skins and stuff, put them in a new silicone bag, and those are going to go into my freezer. And I'm just going to save those up with all my other scraps to make a new batch of vegetable stock. Okay, so for my 2 recipes, I need some potatoes cut up. And when you're utilizing the same, kind of the same vegetables and some of the same recipes, it just makes your meal prep so much easier. But you're changing it up so you're not really noticing it. So that way you're kind of in, you're out. Oh, I do need it to be 2 cups, so I'm just going to there we go, 2 cups. We're all set. I can go over here. And then for the soup, I just need, it says 2, it's normally 2 large potatoes. And again, you can peel them. I leave the peel on because it's good for fiber. I'm just going to cut them in larger chunks, almost kind of bite-sized pieces. This is for our soup. And I'm going to leave them kind of around the same, I like mine to be a little hearty. It's your soup. You guys do whatever you want to do. I like to make them about the same size as my cauliflower. Especially, it's wintertime. I like it a little bit heartier. And with all the nice warming spices of the curry that are going in here, this is a great soup. Okay. Do one more potato. This soup freezes really well. You can make it as Okay, so our prep is done. Now we're going to get to the stove and start cooking our dishes so that we're in and out, because these dishes are going to come together really quick. And we're almost done, guys, and it's going to be done in less than an hour. Isn't that great? Let's start with our soup. We're going to use a little bit of our broth. You could use water. And we're going to saute our onion in it. We just want to get our onion going until it's translucent. Once the onion starts softening, we're going to add in our garlic and let that start to cook down. And again, if you don't have fresh garlic, guys, use the jar of minced garlic, use garlic powder, use what you have. Now we're going to add in our spices. We want those to bloom. And make sure you need to add some liquid. We don't want this to dry out on us. Oh, it is so fragrant, guys. If you could smell this, my friends. Oh, it smells so good. You would just want to like dive right into this. We just want to cook off these spices for a minute or two. Just keep it on low. I'm going to add in our tomatoes. And don't worry, recipe will be down below. I'm going to let this cook for about 2 or 3 minutes. Now we're going to add our stock. Now, if you were using dry lentils for this recipe, you would add them in now because mine are already cooked. I'm leaving mine out to the end. And I'm going to add in my potatoes and my cauliflower. Now you're just going to kind of bring that up to a simmer. So now to finish off our soup, we want to take out our bay leaves because nobody wants to eat those. Okay. Now I'm going to add in my cooked lentils. Again, if you were using dry, they would have already been in there and they would have already been cooked. Just going to warm those through. There's my other bay leaf. Hello there. spinach. Might as well just add it all. Our lemon zest. And the juice of one fresh lemon. And that's just going to boost the flavor and the freshness of this soup. Just let that come together. And then just before you serve it, give it a taste, see if it needs any adjustments with salt and pepper and anything else. Look how delicious that is. This freezes really well. This is a huge batch, so I'm definitely going to freeze half of this. Let's start our chickpea curry. We have some water, so we can water saute. We have our green peppers and our onions. We're going to let those start. And of course, we want them to get soft and translucent. That's going to take about 5 minutes or so. Now we're going to add our seasoning. And we're going to let that bloom. Always add a little bit of water. Smells so good, guys. I wish you could smell this. You have to try these recipes. Now we're going to add in our potatoes and our water. You could also use bouillon if you had it. And you're going to bring that up to a simmer. Now, when your potatoes have softened, it's been about 20 minutes, I'm going to add in our frozen peas and our garbanzo beans. And we're going to let those cook for about 10 minutes. We're almost done. We're going to let those cook for 10 minutes, and then we're going to thicken this all up. Put your lid back on. Now you can leave your curry like this. I like mine thicker, so I'm just going to make a little slurry, which I've done with some cornstarch. And so 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and then 2 tablespoons of water. And I'm going to add that in. Just make sure you get all of it in there. And then just give this a stir. And then just let that cook for a little bit. And that's going to thicken up. So let it cook for another couple of minutes. If you still want it thicker, you can repeat, add another tablespoon of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of water until it gets to the thickness that you want. And remember, we're going to serve this over rice or whatever grain you want. See how that's already thickened up, guys? So guys, we're done our meal prep today. It took just over an hour, but we have a huge soup, which is actually going to be good for 2 meal preps because that's going to be more than enough for probably 2 weeks. So half of that's going to go in the freezer. We have our curry, which is going to go with our rice. We have our forbidden rice, which we're going to do for our bowls this week. And I have other toppings already in the fridge. I still have some leftover big salad from last week that I'm still working on. That's almost done. So that'll be used at the beginning of this week. And I can use it with my forbidden rice. We have our roasted vegetables. So we're all set for this week. And that was super simple, especially if you're putting on music and you're just having a good time. Make yourself a nice coffee and just enjoy yourself while you're in the kitchen. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. Don't forget to hit subscribe and cook some of this for somebody you love. See you soon, guys.